Whittaker's the type of guy that's always training, always getting better. He's a black belt at jiu-jitsu. He's an excellent wrestler. He actually qualified for the Commonwealth Games. He's the Australian #1 wrestler at that weight class at 97 kilos. He won the gold medal. He was supposed to go and represent Australia in the Commonwealth Games as a wrestler, but they were going to strip him of his belt, so he walked away from that. Point I'm bringing this up is Whittaker is very, very good.
Like, nobody's ever made me feel the way that Whittaker made me feel. You know, he was just kind of, he was operating on a different frequency, and nobody's ever made me feel that way. And kind of like I was outclassed, and you know, I was very impressed. You know, and not even Adesanya made me feel that way. You know, so I think if Whittaker fights the way that he fought against me back in April, you know, I think he's got all the opportunity to win that.
So Whittaker, his last fight was against Kelvin Gastelum, which again, he looked sensational. I think that was the best performance of his career, to be honest. He looked so fucking good. And when I saw that fight, I was like, wow, okay, if he can recreate that kind of performance against Israel Adesanya, I believe we'll see a much different fight. You know, all respect to the champ, Israel is incredible, but that Whittaker, I think that Whittaker would give what's his face, Israel Adesanya, a way better fight.
He could take Izzy down, and he could also land a big bomb. So that dual threat will play a big part in it, especially in the opening rounds, because Izzy might be a little bit hesitant on, is he going to come to grapple, is he going to come to strike?
That's a big fight. Whittaker's looked amazing ever since Stylebender knocked him out. You know, and maybe with a different approach, it could be a different fight. But Adesanya is just so smart, man. He's so clever. Like, when you watch him fight, for a person like me who loves like intricate, high-level striking, setups and traps, he's the master.
Let's not talk too much about Israel, because I think he's a piece of shit. He's just a shit person. I don't like him. He doesn't like me. We just like that. We just do two cats on two different paths that just don't get along.
He's, like I say, he's a mute. He's a bit of a knuckle dragger. He's a throwback. You know, just meats and potatoes. Oh, I do my talking in the cage. You know that line? I do my talking in the cage. With me, he's acting out of character. I got these boys acting out of character. That's what I'm trying to say. Use your eyes, use your Sharingan.
The last fight, I was kind of very emotional. I was in a bad place for the sport itself, for my career, and I got a bit emotional in that fight, just because I don't like him very much. On top of everything else that was going on, I lost my cool. I wasn't really fighting like I should fight, like I normally fight. And you know, props to him. He got in my head. But yeah, I just think he's a shithead.
I don't think it doesn't. If you get in his head or not, I don't think it makes a difference. At the end of the day, skills pays the bills. You know, so you can check my resume. Come on, man, check my resume. You see the skills is heavily there.
I think the effect of him losing his invincibility bubble will have less of an effect on him and more of an effect on the people he versus. He had that aura of invincibility, and then once he got beat, people realized he can be beat, which I don't know, it broke their limiting, their own self ceiling, like their own self limiters when fighting him.
I advise him to shoot on me, try to keep me down. If not, strike with me. Do your little 1-1-2 and then throw your right high kick. Do your little oblique kick. Fucking hell. What else? He's good with the left hook. I advise him to shoot straight. I wouldn't Jorge Masvidal on him, but I advise him to shoot.
You know, a solid strategy to fighting Izzy, which would be to try and wrestle him once he gets tired in the later rounds. Not the early rounds, because you'll gas and you'll get hurt. Because you need to be sharp with him. He's got very effective striking. But patience is very important when fighting him, because he is such a good counter striker. The problem with that is, though, he's very good at outside fighting, so you can't be too patient, otherwise he picks you apart and beats you on points.
Like, he just keeps showing his hand and trying to look unbothered, but hey, all right, you do you, boo boo, you do you.
Whittaker ain't gonna beat Izzy. No offense, Whittaker, you're a fucking savage. I'm a fan, dude, but he ain't gonna beat him.
Whittaker has very fast feet as well. He's good at getting on the inside. He's only got a 73-inch reach, right? So he's used to being the shorter guy, used to having the shorter reach. So he has to rely on his footwork to get in the inside. Also, he's got that big left hook, which is a good punch against the southpaw. Adesanya, on the flip side, you know, he uses his reach very well, uses a lot of feints, a lot of misdirection, and he's got a very complex, diverse striking arsenal. So he's going to mix things up.
You know, my striking has been
it's the best it's ever been, and we focused on it a lot this camp, obviously. But like I think I spoke to you before, I have never wrestled this much at a camp than I have for this fight. I think I got some tricks he hasn't seen yet, and I'll give him a good run.
From the first fight, you can't really pick that much away. He came out swinging, he missed a lot, he was nervous. If it does show up right, it's a whole different fight. In his last fight with Kelvin, he put up a very nice fight. He was very evasive, but he was able to crash when he had to. If he's gonna show up with his mind right, he has a chance. But if not, I don't know. It might be a replay of the first one.
I want to see a great fight. I don't think it's going to go any differently than the first fight. I feel like Israel's going to do exactly the same as he did before, catch him.
Speed.
But yeah, speed kills. And Izzy, you know, he's a sniper. He'll find the shot and he'll put him away. And I've seen a different fire in Izzy as well this camp. He's a lot more focused and you know, he's always focused, but I just see a difference in him for this fight, and he's working a lot with the breathing coach, our sports psychologist, and just doing everything he can to make sure that he keeps that belt. So I'm excited to see this Izzy coming in for the 2022 for that February fight, and yeah, I just don't see it going any differently.
Everybody has holes in their game. That's not to say that anybody is bad at anything one particular, but when you throw a jab, you expose yourself for the counter. You know, you're close enough to get hit. So that's just the nature of the beast. You know, 1 + 1 is 2. There are opportunities to beat him. I'm not going to call them holes in someone's game because Izzy is pretty sharp as far as his striking goes, and he's shown he's been able to fend off wrestlers, even throw up some submissions in fights and everything. So holes, I don't want to call them, but opportunities, absolutely.
Robert's definitely got the skills to beat Adesanya. I think he needs to be more intelligent in his approach, and I think that's what he was lacking in the first fight. I think, to be honest, if they fought again, if Robert Whittaker can just focus on Adesanya and it becomes a contest of martial arts, then I think it'd be a bit more cagey and a bit more technical, perhaps. But certainly his striking would be different. Robert's an excellent martial artist, very, very cerebral, very well balanced in his approach. But at the same time, you know, I think Robert could have made that a more difficult fight for Adesanya than he did. And I think, you know, turning this corner, having these realizations and taking some time away, I think it allows him just to get back in there and, as you say, enjoy himself. You know, he doesn't even seem too focused about getting back to the belt right now. It's literally all about this fight and all about enjoying himself, and that's when we're going to see him at his best.
Well, you know, the old Mozzie, my arch nemesis, that other what's his name, Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles. I knocked him out twice. But we need to run that back. I'll tell you when it is. You don't get to decide. I get to decide, because why? I'm the